We do have a long lineup. There it is. It's on. I hear it. Okay. Yeah, we have a long lineup of meetings, so I'm going to call this evening's 4 or 5 meetings to order. It is, for the record, 6:31 p.m. Today is Monday, May 20th, 2024. And our lineup of meetings this evening starts with a special joint City Council and Board of Public Safety budget meeting. Immediately following this will be a special City Council budget meeting. Immediately following that will be a public hearing for the sewer use fees. And then immediately following that is the regular meeting of the City Council and WPCA. So before we begin the lineup, could we kindly stand and pledge the flag? Okay, so for the record, the first meeting is the joint City Council Board of Safety budget meeting. And we have participating this evening representing the City Council, Councilman Waldron, Councilman Iveyne, Councilwoman Spino. I see Councilman Cavanero is on the call. I don't see Councilman Oliver. I think he said he was going to try to call in. And Councilwoman Ruette said she would be here but late. Representing the Board of Safety, we have Commissioner Benedetto, Commissioner Young, Commissioner Battle, and Commissioner McLeod. There's a Galaxy phone number. Okay. All right. So quorum of both the boards, and I will open the meeting with item number 1. And this is, I'd be looking for a motion. This would be to the Board of Safety members only to award the contract for the installation of the Raycor video detection system to Utility Communications, Inc. of Hamden, Connecticut, and the amount of $43,354. This will be pending the City Council approval. Purchases to be funded from the new equipment and repairs equipment account, as further explained in our purchasing agent's letter dated May 16, 2024. So I'd be looking for a motion and second from our commissioners. Thank you. I heard Commissioner Battle and Commissioner Benedetto. Are there questions or comments on the motion? Sure. Do you want to just talk briefly about the purchase and the purpose? Okay, just real quick.
So these are going to be stationary traffic monitoring cameras that we're purchasing, similar to the ones that we currently have in our every police cruiser, except these are going to be stationary. Nope, no speed. It's just a license plate reader.
Other questions or comments? Hearing none, then I'll call the motion for the Board of Safety members. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And for the record should reflect that Commissioner Cogswell has also entered the meeting. So now going to the City Council, same motion to award the contract for installation of the Raycor video detection system utility to Utility Communications, Inc. in the amount of $43,354, having just been approved by the Board of Public Safety. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Spino, seconded by Councilwoman Spino and Councilman Iveyne. Are there questions from the council members?
Yes, to further ask on the detector equipment, what's the purpose of collecting the license plate information?
So there's some level of propriety, I guess.
Yeah, law enforcement.
Security issues that if you need an answer to that question, I would suggest we could table it and you can ask those questions in an executive session, or you could certainly reach out to the chief or deputy chief and get those answers directly.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I can, okay,
Thank you, Deputy.
thank you.
Other questions or comments? Hearing none, then all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. I appreciate your consideration on that. All right, so moving into the budget discussions. Just to frame this, the budget subcommittee members that were represented by two members of the Board of Public Safety. That was Commissioner Benedetto and Commissioner Young. Two members of the City Council, Councilwoman Spino and Councilman Iveyne. And then two members of the Board of Finance were Lorene Pesky and Wendy Trapp. Thank you. It's been a long day. So they went through the public safety budgets and actually met with the chief, all of the chiefs, deputy chiefs, to go over the detail. They made recommendations coming out of the budget subcommittee for suggestions on how to bring the budgets in at a level that they felt was more in line with what the taxpayers could absorb. Those budget cuts were then decided or determined by the two department heads, or the two departments, deputy chiefs and chiefs, and presented to the Board of Safety last week. Board of Safety approved all of these budgets as they existed in that meeting. So what we're having this evening is just an opportunity for the council to ask the Board of Safety members any questions that you may have relative to the respective budgets. So I'll take these one at a time. Budget discussion for the approved. And when I say approved, it was approved by the Board of Safety on Wednesday of last week. And then what I would ask is for a tentative approval by the city council members. So the motion to open the discussion is a motion to discuss public safety miscellaneous budget for fiscal year 24-25 and for tentative approval of that budget. Do I have a motion? Thank you,
Second.
Councilwoman Spino, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. Okay. Questions or comments on the miscellaneous? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
abstain there.
Abstention from Commissioner McLeod
And also, I abstain because
and Commissioner Battle. Okay. Item 3. I will entertain a motion for discussion of the approved fire department budget for fiscal year 24-25.
so moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Councilwoman Spino, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. And questions or comments on this budget as presented? Hearing no questions. I'll call for the approval. And again, this is a tentative approval for the council members. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Abstain again.
All right. And because the tentative approval only goes to the council members, I think that,
Okay, I
yeah.
can catch it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Abstaining on all of them, so just so you know upfront. that's-
okay, got it. All right. So item 4, I'll need a motion for discussion and a tentative approval of the approved volunteers budget for fiscal year 24-25. Again, this was a budget that was already approved by the members of the Board of Safety. So do I have a motion
So
to?
moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman Spino.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Iveyne. Questions or comments? Anything the Board of Safety wants the council to know? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on into the police department budgets. So item 5, same motion. I'll entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion and approval or tentative approval of the approved police department budget for fiscal year 24-25.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Second.
Spino, and seconded by Councilman Iveyne. And any questions on the police department budget as presented?
No.
Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, I'll entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion and for tentative approval of the animal control budget for fiscal year 24-25.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I see a pattern developing here. Motion made by Councilwoman Spino, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. Floor is open for questions or discussion, comments. Hearing none.
I just
Yeah.
apologize for
Yeah.
being late, but I know that both Councilwoman Spino and Councilman Iveyne served on the Budget Committee. So you have any other comments to add to any of the discussion or for the discussion?
I don't.
I entrust in your,
It is not, those are not easy meetings, to your point, Councilwoman, because they do dive so much into all that detail.
right.
So I do appreciate the,
There were robust discussions, so we vetted it line by line. So, yeah, not an easy task to undertake, but
Thank you.
I think all the groups were well represented.
Not to put you on the spot, I just, appreciate the time and commitment you
Yeah.
put on the budget committees and new to the council, both of you. I'm sure it was a learning process and since this is tentative approval, continue to support it. Thank you.
any other questions before I call that motion? Hearing none, I'm going to call the motion made by Councilwoman Spino, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, I am looking for a motion to open the floor for discussion and for tentative approval of the traffic division budget that has already been approved by the Board of Safety.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman Spino,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Iveyne. Questions on this budget? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, I'll entertain a motion to open the floor for discussion and for tentative approval of the emergency management budget for fiscal year 24-25, already approved by the Board of Safety.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Councilwoman Spino, Councilman Iveyne. Questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And because this is a special meeting and there being no further business before the two boards, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Commissioner Benedetto,
Second.
seconded by Councilwoman Spino. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, this one closes 6:45 PM. All right. Next on the agenda for this evening is a review, and again, this is a special city council meeting for the purposes of reviewing budgets. And again, these are budgets that have been, at least the larger budgets, Public Works, Public Safety, have been reviewed by the Budget Subcommittee. And suggested cuts were made. We call these our level 2 cuts. I want to acknowledge our budget manager who's here with us this evening, who attended all of these meetings, and then between the meetings was plugging in all of the numbers as they were being moved and voted on in the Budget Subcommittee meeting. So there is, in addition to the pages that were emailed to you, there is a level 1, which is really level 2 budget changes, and that's the document that has the red print. So anything in red is reflective of the cuts that were recommended for approval by the City Council. So let me do the official opening of this meeting. It is still Monday, May 20th. It is now 6:46 p.m. And present for this meeting, I have Councilman Cavanero via Zoom, Councilwoman Ruette, Councilwoman Spino, Councilman Iveyne, and Councilman Waldron in person. So item number 1, this again, what I'm looking for is a motion to review and discuss and tentatively approve the proposed fiscal year 24-25 city budgets. The reason I'm saying tentatively approve is whatever discussion happens this evening and then occurs on the next Tuesday when we meet with the Board of Finance, we then take back and take any direction that you give so that we will present to you before the final budget adoption, a final recommendation. So can I have a motion, please, to open the floor for review and discussion and tentative approval of the proposed 24-25 city budgets that have been recommended by this subcommittee?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman Spino, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. Okay. So the floor is open. And I'm just going to keep talking. So what you have before you are, as I said, the level 1, which is the department head requests. Quite frequently, you'll hear me refer to these as the wish list in a perfect world, you know, with appropriate revenues. These are this is reflective of what these department heads would need to move their departments forward and provide a high level of service for the taxpayers, better roads, better parks, better service. The budget subcommittee then does the deep dive in each one of those requests to test the importance or prioritization of those requests. So in your budget documents you have before you, you have the level 1 requests, and then you have the 2025 level 2 being reflective of those cuts that were recommended by the committee. The bottom line where we stand right now after the original requests by departments, the budget subcommittee and the department heads who took all of the instruction, as painful as it was from the budget subcommittee, successfully found and proposed $3,422,740 in budget cuts, leaving a level 2 budget recommendation of $71,834,962.68. And Erica, what is as compared to the FY24? Is that?
It's a 7% increase.
So that is, thank you, 7% increase over the $67,018,105 that was adopted in 2024. Questions? And I don't know, I know that we've done this so many different ways over the years, going through every single department, you know, looking at the ups and downs. But as you saw with the public safety, those are the largest budgets. The Board of Safety's already done all of that. So if you're inclined to approve the bottom line as presented, I can ask for the amended motion to do that, and we will then move these to the joint meeting with the Board of Finance and city council next week. Floor is open.
So the 7% equates to what as it relates to the mill rate increase?
So because this doesn't, right, this, you have to factor in where are those additional revenues? You know, a very modest uptick in the grand list. Bless you. The treasurer has tweaked the anticipated interest income that'll come on the accounts, you know, with the higher interest rates. There's, this certainly would not, as presented results, and keep in mind also, this is just the city side. The Board of Education has also presented their request with a $8 million increase. These combined budgets would definitely, even with the additional revenues, impact our mill rate.
So my question is, so a 7% increase in expenditures, so it's, when you say an uptick in the grand list,
Mhm.
it's not 7%.
No.
What percentage is it?
Like 0.1.
I'll look to, I mean.
Comptroller.
Yes.
Yeah.
Answer those questions. What's the increase in the grand list? If the expenses are 7%, then there's an uptick in the grand list, what percentage is that? Yeah, rough is good. Sorry? All right.
Approximately like 9-10%.
I'm sorry, what?
9%?
No, the grand list went up about 0.1%. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Negligible increase in our grand lists. Real estate up a small fraction, a significant reduction in the motor vehicles, and personal property had a little bit of an uptick.
So in total, what is that? I'm just trying to get the balance here.
So it doesn't work that, I know we go through this every year.
know.
We go through this every year. So this is just the city's budget. When you do the city budget and the Board of Education budget together, Erica, what is the total increase with both Board of Ed and city?
Just pulling that up right now.
Okay. I know. So while you're looking, and take your time, I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that. So I did just pull up the FY23 grand list document, which was signed by the assessor. Real estate went up 0.05. Personal property went up 6.44, and motor vehicles went down 4.05. The blended change in the grand list is 0.09. So really, no real increase in revenues as a result of that. However, the transition grant that the state is providing is always based on the prior year's grand list for motor vehicle. So there's a modest uptick in revenue on that line item. As I had indicated, the treasurer's office did identify Interest income would go up. I think we'd budgeted 1.7 million this year. He was projecting it would be closer to $3 million next year because of the interest rates. So there's a little bit of revenue that's available. We also have premium from bond sales that we'll be able to use, but all of those items together will not cover the request of both the city and the Board of Education. And if the goal is, and I know this was a discussion in the budget subcommittee, you know, the difficulty of, you know, what's a tolerable mill rate increase. I will tell you the budget subcommittee came out of the meeting with a vote, I think it was 4-2, to advance the recommendation to the city council to continue to find cuts that would result in no mill rate increase. To do that, I would be looking for quite a few reductions, not only in the city side, but on the Board of Ed side. And what
Mayor?
I will do is for the joint meeting with the Board of Finance, I will make sure that the council also has that revenue number. Because the good news is the state has adopted its budget. We're in a better position to have all those revenues in front of us. Ultimately, we all know it's the Board of Finance that has to make the decision as to what is it that they believe the taxpayers are prepared to absorb. But at least it'll give you a better idea of what you are approving permanently.
Just one concern of mine is the capital budgets that they're getting cut. Sometimes we have to weigh up when we cut our capital reserves and we have deferred maintenance on our buildings. It kind of expedites the demise of those buildings and makes the future repair more costly. It's something to consider in these budget negotiations, as it seems to be an easy thing to cut because it doesn't affect personnel and other items in the budgets, but it will affect us in the long run. And we see that the impact when we build a new school, probably, you know, because really a long-term effect on these municipal buildings. And they're not always funded as they should be.
And the only other thing that I would add for the council to consider, so as what you have before you is a total budget request of $71,834,963. This is $4,816,858 over the prior year's budget. And of that amount, almost half of it, 2 million and change, is represented by debt service. So it is, you know, the bond redemption and the interest on the bonding and borrowing we've been doing. So I think that piggybacks off of what Councilman Iveyne is saying. You know, there are expenses that are built into this operating budget that if we're going to cover those expenses, is it at the expense of other investments?
We're also at the mercy of market forces, high inflation for several years in a row. We have no other choice unless we find energy savings to pay increases to utility rates, salaries, purchasing a new vehicle, purchasing asphalt when we redo roads. So that there's a lot of things that have to be considered in this budget, and what do the increases and the cuts really represent.
Mayor, if I may.
Please, Councilman Cavanero.
Yeah, excuse me. You and I, well, I and the council, as long as I've been on the council, we've had this type of conversation every budget season. Going forward, is there a mechanism by which the city council can start looking clearly? clearly whatever the minimal uptick in revenues is this year, it's nowhere near sufficient to offset what are the additional expenses. So knowing that that number is very large, the process by which the city council is able to look at all of the city priorities, including, again, the Board of Education, and make a reasonable and responsible set of decisions on where we're going to cut. We need to be able to sit down, right, and be in the same room with those people to balance out what they need that money, what the Board of Education needs that money for versus what police, fire, and everyone else needs the money for. So is this process going forward from this day, this meeting here? Is there a way are we going to be able to do that, the council?
So the next regular meeting would be the joint meeting with the Board of Finance and the City Council, because as we know, the City Council only has authority over its own side of the budget.
Right, I know that.
So that joint meeting, once that joint meeting has been held, if the Board of Finance wishes to do additional meetings that would include Board of Education and City Council, I would certainly entertain that motion from the Board of Finance. But
All
by
right.
charter,
I know.
yeah. So, and I agree with you. But what I can do is just so that everybody has a better idea, at least on the council, because it's really hard to make decisions in isolation. We are reducing the board, our public safety departments significantly. And our public works, I mean, our budget subcommittee did the hard work. They came up with $3.4 million in cuts. And I know that the Board of Education has not had that opportunity yet. So I will have for the joint meeting with the Board of Finance and the City Council's information, if it makes it easier for you to make some decisions, the revenues so that you see in context revenues and the expenses. And we will include that Board of Education request as it stands, unchanged from their department request that was submitted on April 15th.
All right.
Did you
Yeah,
find it?
you know where I'm coming from, Mayor. If we as city council members are going to have our backs to the wall in terms of having to increase the mill rate, we need to be able to justify to the taxpayers, to the people in Torrington, why? What is this money going to do? What is this additional money going to do to improve this, that, the other thing? And we have control over the city side, and we, again, are in a vacuum relative to the Board of Ed issue. And I would like to be able to know, what will this additional money to the Board of Ed do to improve our educational system? So I think I've said enough. And
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So any luck with the Board of Ed number? Where are we with them?
When we include them, we're at an 8.65% increase.
Okay. Thank you. All right, further questions on a tentative approval of 71 million, just a page. Here it is. On 71,834,962.68. Any other questions? Then I'm going to call the motion. This motion was made by Councilwoman Spino, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. So this is the last 2 weeks, and I think I always feel the most concern is with the Board of Finance, because ultimately it all falls to the Board of Finance to look at this from the taxpayer's perspective. Our job as a council and the Board of Safety is to look at it from the department head's perspective and what do we want to see happen. And then the Board of Finance has that very difficult task. So let's close this meeting out, this special meeting. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman
Second.
Ruette, seconded by Councilwoman Spino. All in favor?
Aye.
Right, we're adjourned. It is now 7:06 PM. I'm going to open up the next meeting is actually a public hearing for the purposes of soliciting citizen input regarding the sewer use fee beginning July 1, 2024, ending June 30th, 2025. Before we open the meeting, the hearing to the public, do we have the public notice to be read into the record?
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Councilmen of the City of Torrington, acting herein as the Water Pollution Control Authority, will hold a public hearing pursuant to Section 7-255 of the General Statutes on May 20th, 2024, immediately following the previous special meetings, which start at 6:30 PM in the City Hall Auditorium, 140 Main Street, Torrington, Connecticut, to set the sewer use charge for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2025, as follows. For residential users, an amount not less than $392 and not more than $454 per dwelling unit. For all other users, an amount not less than $392 and not more than $454 per 65,000 gallons of volume of flow. The public may attend in person or by Zoom and will be granted up to 3 minutes to comment. Public comments may also be submitted in writing by email to the city_clerk@torringtonct.org or by mail to the city clerk's office, 140 Main Street, Torrington, Connecticut. Written comments will be forwarded to the Board of Councilmen for their review and consideration in advance of the public hearing. Instructions for participating by phone or online are available at www.torringtonct.org. All interested persons are invited to attend and be heard. Dated this 9th day of May, 2024.
Thank you. All right, so the hearing is open. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment on the proposed sewer use fees for fiscal year 25? And I have to call this 3 times. Anyone from the public wishing to address the WPCA on the matter of the proposed sewer use fees for fiscal year 2025? Third call, anyone from the public wishing to address the WPCA with regard to the fiscal year 25 sewer user fees? Seeing and hearing none, I will declare the public hearing closed. Declare this public hearing closed. It's closed. All right. Number 4 on the lineup. I will call the regular meeting of the City Council and WPCA to order. It is still Monday, May 20th. It is now 7:09 PM. And we still have our quorum of members, Councilman Cavanero, Councilwoman Ruette, Councilwoman Spino, Councilman Iveyne, and Councilman Waldron. I did receive a request from one of the council members earlier today to switch up the order of the agenda items. So Councilwoman Spino reached out and suggested that before we did a roll call vote on the sewer use fee, she's asking if we could kindly discuss item 10, which is the WPCA budget, item 11, which is the capital improvement plan, and item 12, the fee schedule. Is the council okay with us moving those agenda items up before the roll call vote?
Yes.
Any objection? Okay, good. All right, so then I'm going to call item number 10 first. I'll entertain a motion by the Board of Councilmen here and acting as a Water Pollution Control Authority to approve the WPCA budget for the year beginning July 1, 2024, ending June 30th, 2025.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Waldron. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Councilman Iveyne. All right, so the motion is made and seconded. And this is to approve the budget that has been prepared and presented to the council members. Are there questions on that budget,
I have one question, Mayor.
please? Councilwoman Spino?
Hi. So I was looking at, I can't pull it up and find it right now. But looking at last year, what Harrington paid and what Litchfield paid, and then looking at the budget for this year and looking at Harrington and Litchfield, it's still the same. So will their fees also increase, and when will we know that, if so?
So they pay a percentage of our O&M and our capital expenses. So how they put their fees together outside of that, I don't really have control over.
So will
Um,
their fees go up as well? So Torrington.
What we charge them will go up.
Okay, that's what I.
Yeah.
So if I'm understanding what Mr. Towsey was saying is what they charge their users is their, what they're obligated, that's
Right.
their decision. But what we charge them will reflect an increase.
We'll increase, yes, so it's a percentage of whatever our O&M is, which is going up.
Mhm.
They'll be paying a percentage of that, which will increase according to how much flow, the metered flow that we register coming in. The same with Harrington.
Thank you.
Other
Follow-up
questions?
question, Mayor.
Mr. Cavanero, yes.
Yes, they're paying at least as much as Torrington residents, right? Residents in those townships?
I don't know, sorry, I don't know what the,
Why don't we know that?
well, so we charge them for the gallons coming in to our plant into Torrington, what we treat. A percentage, only a small, well, Harrington, all their flow. Litchfield is only a small percentage of their flow coming from their municipality. I don't know what their fees are.
It was my understanding when we went through this torturous discussion about user fees for Woodridge Lake, that while I lost the argument, or we, the city of Torrington, lost the argument that we can charge other municipalities more per user for our services, that we are certainly entitled to charge them the same amount as Torrington users. And if that, assuming that is the ordinance and that is the law in the state of Connecticut, as was explained to me ad nauseum during that whole drawn out affair, my question is, why are people in neighboring towns not paying as much as people in Torrington?
So if I can, I'm going to paraphrase the question or the comment and question. So if the proposal is for Torrington users to pay $420 for 65,000 gallons of volume flow,
Mhm.
is that the same fee that the other municipalities will be charged per gallon flow?
I don't think it equates the same. However, our O&M continues up. We don't charge per gallon, correct? Not per gallon per se. There's a pretty large formula that goes up according to what our capital expenses are for the year and what our O&M charges are. So they're gonna go up. We did some work. We've been working at that on the IMA, and they're never gonna pay less than our operating maintenance costs. But that's only part of our fee here. So, I
Correct.
mean, so, they have their own capital improvements, sewer work they're doing. They're not benefiting from that work that we're doing. So it's only a piece of the puzzle, what we're charging them. But I don't know if that's answering your question. The O&M, when our O&M goes up, theirs goes up. If they're benefiting from any capital expenses, they pay
portion of that.
I don't know if this is where Councilwoman Spina is going, but what I would like to see is a lot more definition on this. I think we owe it to our local fee
Yeah.
payers in Torrington. They need to be assured that our sewer system is somehow, that other people outside of Torrington are not paying less to use our sewers than the people in Torrington are. We need to be able to say definitively that is the case. And here are the here's the formula. It's complicated as it may be. Here's the formula, and this is why. And we need to be able to say that honestly and objectively.
Yes, the new IMA, it's almost finished. I believe it has that exact words in it for the request of this board.
Well, me personally, I'd like to table this vote then until we get that in place, so we can. I do believe that people of Torrington have the right to know that. There's a lot of hard feeling out there. I think you know this. I know Ray knows this, you know, relative to the situation, whatever that was 4 years ago, 5 years ago with Woodridge Lake, that other townships somehow are that those people are benefiting from, you know, our professional and very, you know, well-maintained system that has been so for generations, and they're benefiting it to, you know, by virtue of their people paying less than people in Torrington. It's gross, you know, it is on the face of it very unfair. So I don't know what I would like to hear from my other councilmen. Am I making too big a deal of this? But my feeling is our fellow citizens have the right to know that they are not paying more than our neighbors are for our system.
I just have a question. I mean, you do have an estimated amount of revenue coming in from Howington and Litchfield.
Yes.
I think maybe to ask it in a different way, how was that number calculated for that revenue? Is that a better way to ask it?
I haven't come prepared to give you that full, complete answer. Sorry. So we measure their gallons as long as it's on a house on a meter, on one of our meter stations or their meter stations that we check annually. In some cases, we get sent that information. In Harrington, we get sent that information monthly. Some of the, if they have homes or businesses that are off those meters, we count those houses at the same fee as Torrington users pay. We count them as using 65,000 gallons. Houses that are going through the meter, we only count the amount of gallons coming through. I know I can tell you this, 65,000 gallons has always been a Torrington base per unit. It's not the same in every community. They have different methods. But I don't know if I'm not being clear enough. If our O&M goes up, so which it is, our capital expense goes up, theirs goes up with it.
If it's a question of how much does it go up per user? Does it go up indexed comparatively to what the Torrington user is being charged for the additional? And listen, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, whatever this, I understand there's complications to coming up with a number for them, but I would think something like, I mean, I'm spitballing here, but something like the language should read that as we approve, based on that users, external users outside of Torrington will be charged a fee no less than $420 per unit, you know? If that's the minimum charge, if that's the minimum amount that a person in Torrington has to pay, anyone else using our service outside of Torrington should pay at least the minimum amount. And that kind of language, I think, would guarantee that. I'm not sure why I seem to be the only one who thinks this is a problem or that this is objectionable. Torrington does all the lifting. We do all the engineering. We do, you guys, your department manages this incredible system. And, you know, people outside of Torrington, they're damn lucky that they're paying only what Torrington residents are paying. They're damn lucky. And we should just ensure and guarantee to our fellow taxpayers that they're paying at least as much as the person in Torrington.
Well, I would agree. I think what's not clear in your budget proposal is that breakdown and that assurance that they're either being charged the same or more. I mean, we could leverage it. They, you know, they're not going to create their own sewer system. They
Yeah.
need Torrington. So I feel compelled to agree with Councilman Cavanero in that, and the question coming from Councilwoman Spino, that we just need assurance in how this budget was prepared in your estimated revenue from those towns, that they're in fact either paying the same or more.
Okay, but I'm sorry, I don't think I can charge them a different amount until we get if you want a different IMA in place that spells some of these things out, then I think that would be in the future. That right now we have to go by the agreement we have currently.
How close are we to getting that IMA completed?
Very close, right? I believe we have a final draft. The Corporation Council, we're gonna be sending that over to Corporation Council.
Yes.
But we haven't yet. But I just mentioned that to you this
He
morning.
just, I know, I whispered in his ear, do you have that IMA?
Yeah.
Is it appropriate for me to comment?
Please? Yeah.
So I think I hear what Councilman Cavanero is saying. And yeah, I haven't seen the draft of either agreement yet, either with Litchfield or Harwinton. But I hear what you're saying, Councilman Cavanero, and I guess when I get those agreements, I'll take a look and see if something like that is in there. And if not, we'll talk about it further.
I mean, if there's a statement in there stating that these parts of this budget will never be less, will never be less of what Torrington's paying. Is that to reflect the whole budget of theirs next to the whole budget of ours? No. If that's what you want it to reflect, then that would have to be directed that way.
Ed, just for clarification, we're paying for our own infrastructure within our town boundaries, right? The pipes in a road, the pumping stations, those types of things.
Absolutely.
That's delivering that from the house to the plant, right?
Yeah.
But those towns, Harwinton and Litchfield, are paying for theirs. So that the amounts could be different.
Yeah, and they're gonna have shared, what we're calling shared facilities. Like some of the collection system that's coming from Litchfield, they're gonna share in that cost if there's any capital improvements. Some of the same coming out of Harrington, if neither one of them are going through a pumping station, but if they were, they would pay for some of that cost. There is a large project that's coming up, the flow coming from Harrington, that's gonna affect their costs. When we work on Brightwood Avenue or Harris Drive, that will not affect those communities. Because none of their flow don't touch that. And if, I don't know that's fair to, I'm a Torrington resident and I'm not putting an argument up for Harrington or Litchfield. But I don't know if it's fair to charge them for us to repair Harris Drive pumping station when it doesn't affect their flow. We're not giving them a service.
However, any part of the infrastructure within the Torrington boundaries that is used to transport any of the waste that comes from those other municipalities is considered part of the O&M that does get charged to those
Okay.
municipalities.
Yeah, and that's
Yes.
assumed in these.
In the
costs.
calculations,
Yeah.
yeah. I know Ray is here and he,
Yeah, I just, if you look at the fee structure, you can see that the fee structure is broken down into three pieces. It's the O&M, it's the capital recovery and capital expenses, and the debt service. So the IMA and Councilman Cavanero is fully aware, the many discussions we had. So with respect, as Mr. Towsey was indicating, the O and M piece, that $454 or whatever the rate gets set at, the outside jurisdictions, Harwinton and Litchfield, will pay no less than what Torrington pays for O and M. With respect to capital recovery, those are typically projects and capital reserve for vehicles. If we have capital reserve expenses at the treatment plant or at the shared facilities, the Harwinton and Litchfield would pay a proportionate share of that charge as well. With respect to the debt service, which only reflects the clean water fund bonding notes that we have that are related to the shared facilities. So this, which is basically the treatment plant, or if at any point in the future, we have a capital improvement project on the shared facilities, i.e. the lines that they use, they would pay that proportionate share. The debt service is calculated based upon the percentage of their reserve in our system. So our system is at 7 million gallons per day. Harwinton reserve is 77,000 gallons per day. So they would pay 1.1% of the debt service. Litchfield, in their new draft of the IM, is proposing as reducing their reserve from 150,000 gallons to 50,000 gallons. Typically, what we've seen is over time and historical, Litchfield discharges to us about 25,000 gallons per day. So whatever that percentage of 7 million, that 50,000 gallons is, Litchfield would pay that percentage of the debt service. That's how the fee is structured. The O and M is the critical piece. We did structure the IMA such that Harwinton and Litchfield will pay no less than the residents of City of Torrington pay for O and M.
And that operations in. So if you look to raise discussion, if you look on page 12 of that budget document, you actually see where the user charges are broken down. O and M costs for residential is $230.54 per unit. All other users, which would be the other towns, the 230.54 per 65,000 gallons. So you can see where the breakdown is, and what Ray is saying is those other municipalities, those other outside users would not pay any less than the residents. But to Councilman Cavanero and Councilwoman Ruette's point, you know, getting that in that IMA agreement. So there's always a reference, and every time a budget comes before this council, you would be able to refer to that IMA, I think would help solve any of the confusion.
Yeah, and the we've been working on the IMA for quite some time now. And the Litchfield is for 95% complete, needs to be sent to Corporation Council. I wish I will get to him tomorrow for his review. It has for his comment and review on the language of the IMA. I mean, it covers a lot of different things, and I know that the city council, the board is interested in the cost sharing and how that gets distributed.
Go
I
ahead.
just wonder if we could, I think it was the recommendation of Councilman Cavanero to sort of the pause on this approval of this budget tonight until corporate council has.
Is that a motion to table?
That's a motion to table.
I have a motion to table. Do I have a second?
Can we just ask a few other questions before we table?
Can we do it after the motion has been made?
Oh, okay.
No, the motion to table
We
is
still have-
made and seconded, then I take the vote and no more discussion happens. So I'm hearing
I'm okay.
Yeah,
You're okay
just
to?
a couple of easy
Sure.
questions, just future costs. So we see a range of costs, low to high in the estimates, but there's still some unknowns. So we're taking this estimate kind of out 1 year, but your dumping costs of sludge can increase this year. How do we manage that? Do we come back and revise the budget around changes in these costs?
So sludge disposal is going up rapidly. We got a pretty good estimate. I mean, could go up, could go down. We're in a business that we have no control what's sent to us, really, what's coming in the pipe. We have an agreement with Synagro. Synagro sets the rate and it goes up. And that's how we know how the increases happen. I mean, there's things that are out of our control, like, the fuel costs. We have no idea. There's a fuel cost associated with that. Also, it's a good question. It's
Yeah.
hard. This is, I feel like is a hard budget to guesstimate the next coming year, because you don't always know what's gonna happen, but like, all it takes is, an upset with the sludge production and we're shipping liquid out. Liquid costs us a lot more to disposal, and nor do we have a way to thicken it than, our cake solids. So, but.
Is there anything we could do to look at energy efficiencies or ways to cut down on these costs, in the whole system?
Absolutely. I'm in regular meetings, a whole group of us, the leadership and the plant, there's in group meetings with an Eversource energy savings, and we are currently working on that.
Okay, great.
We've been making changes as they come up and they're suggested. And some of it's gonna cost us some investment, but some of it was a matter of just a little bit of programming. We change mixers to come on for 15 minutes and off for 15 minutes, and there was a savings recouped from there. Our biggest electricity user down there is our aeration blowers. We're looking for ways to put programming in place. So, like, as you know, we're a fats, oil, and grease. One of the few in the state that takes fats, oil, and grease. So that's a high demand on the blowers.
Mhm.
So we're looking for a way to do programming so we can meter that in slower overnight, over weekends, instead of getting hit with big slugs where we got 5 blowers running at one time. So we're constantly looking at ways. The facilities manager, Jamie Sikora, has been facilitating some of that, and he helped me with electrical
Okay,
budget costs here with the.
great. Just as all these costs creep up, it may, we hit a tipping point where it's now cost effective to implement, what would have been looked at as a costly undertaking, right? Just the energy savings and some of these changes.
Energy savings is a big, as you can see, that's a big line item here. It's a big increase.
Yeah.
It's one of the ones I put in yellow.
Yeah.
It is certainly something that we're looking at. Some of it we have little control over.
Right. Thank you, Ed.
I think since we still have questions, I'm going to move to table.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a motion to table. Do I have a second?
Second.
So a motion and second, I'll call that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. In light of the action taken on 10, is there, I'm not sure what the council wishes to do with item 11, which would be the approval of the 5-year capital improvement budget. Do you want to move this for approval, or do you want to table this one as well?
As long as we can put this back on the next agenda.
Oh, yeah,
move to table.
we have to, because we have to establish those user fees so that the bills can be generated and released before July 1st. And that next meeting, we could add this to next, what is our joint meeting with the Board of Finance? Is it Tuesday? It's Tuesday. Yeah, we can add it to Tuesday's agenda. And I would also encourage any council members that if there are additional questions regarding the budget or the capital plan, feel free to email Mr. Tausi, and that way he would be able to prepare for it.
Mayor, question?
Yes, Councilman Cavanero.
Well, look at, putting my nice guy hat on, is there any reason not to vote on this tonight? I don't think delaying the vote, tabling the vote on the earlier item, it doesn't impact this one way or another, does it? If we approve tonight? It has no bearing on it, really, does it?
Well, the revenue would be based on the new sewer fee rate. Am I right?
Maybe I'm looking at the wrong item here that we're talking about. I thought it was a capital.
So, yeah, we haven't moved the capital yet. If you want to move that, because I agree
No.
with you, the capital is different than operating. If you want to go ahead and move the capital plan.
No, I'm not, no, I'm questioning quite the opposite. Do we need to move anything? Do we really need to move anything else based on tabling?
No.
User
don't.
fees? No. So I'm prepared to just vote and approve these
Okay.
as extant, me personally.
So then I'm going to take that as a motion
Okay,
on, excuse me, on item 11. I hear a motion by Councilman Cavanero. Hearing acting as a member of the Water Pollution Control Authority to approve the WPCA 5-year capital improvement budget program for the year beginning July 1, 24 and ending June 30th, 2029. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Councilman Iveyne. So I have a motion and a second, and the floor is open for questions or comments on the capital plan. I hear no questions. I'll call the motion. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. And then the WPCA miscellaneous fee schedule. Again, I'd be looking for a motion by the Board of Councilmen here enacting as a Water Pollution Control Authority to approve the WPCA miscellaneous fee schedule for the year beginning July 1, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. Do I have that motion?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Councilman Cavanero.
I'll second.
And a second by Councilman Iveyne. And the floor is open. And again, you're approving the fee schedule that is attached to that budget. Questions or comments?
Just one question. Are there any changes from last year or is this the same fees?
There's a. Let me go through. All right. With the septage loads we take in fog, that all remain the same, except for we do take in some waste from a product called, it's a company called Green Fuels. And they have to file an MIU with us, miscellaneous, industrial user, permit. And it does cause the high demand that I was talking about. So I added a extra fee in for them. So they would bear that cost for, electricity, or if it creates any more sludge. Saying that I believe they need to pay for those costs, but we do receive a sort of a benefit from that material also in our treatment of nitrogen. It's almost like it acts as like a micro C or glycerin, which is used for treating. Many cities purchase that to get their nitrogen numbers down. We don't. And if you see, that's one of the, in the budget, that's one of our revenues that we've received dollars for our low nitrogen numbers. So that was added. Um, emergency, so we operate 7 to 3. Sometimes we get phone calls that somebody wants to dump some fog in our plant, or it's an emergency. Septic could come, our regular haulers, they could go through the keypad and they could come in, our regular septic haulers. But fog, they have to have us come in. And sometimes these emergencies come up. And so we added a $200 fee for that. I wanted to be the cover, even a double, it's a 3-hour call for our guys, and I wanted to be the cover that cost. But
Got it. Are you asking me to call the motion?
Yeah. All right, did you have?
I asked Councilwoman Spino if that answered her questions.
Oh, is there some change? I was going through the changes. Is those too detailed? Sorry.
I was just wondering if out of all these 1 through 17, if anything has increased, been removed, or been added, that's all.
A few.
All right, other questions or comments before I call the motion? Hearing none, I'll call it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, I guess we should put this one in. I will entertain a motion by the City Council, here and acting as Water Pollution Control Authority, to approve a payment of $627.51 from Fund 490 Sanitary Sewer Capital Improvement to Wright Pierce Engineering for invoice 235817. This is for work starting the administration of the Brightwood Avenue construction. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Councilwoman Spino, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. Questions or comments on this? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So I'm going back now to item number 1. And this, again, to Councilman Cavanero's point, is not relevant to what is being charged to the other member municipalities, but specific to the Torrington users. So I'll call or ask for a motion by the Board of Councilmen, here and acting as a Water Pollution Control Authority, to accept the recommendation of the WPCA Administrator and Public Works Director to set the sewer fee for the years July 1, 24 through ending June 30th, 2025 as follows: for residential users, $420 per dwelling unit. For all other users, $420 per 65,000 gallons of volume flow. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Councilman Waldron, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. And the floor is open for questions on this. Hearing none.
Quick
Yes,
question.
go
What's the
ahead.
current fee?
392, I
The
think.
cur-
Yeah.
Current fee is $392.
Okay.
So that reflects exactly what I was hearing before earlier, about a 7% increase.
Thank you.
So I think all the arguments that I heard earlier is exactly, we're experiencing exactly the same things, the inflation, everything. You can't get a construction project done for, it's double than what it was 4 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think, for the public hearing, as you notice, no one came to speak on it, until they get their bill.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure
And
we'll hear a lot. then,
Yes, it's not substantial increase, but it's enough that people say,
You're-
oh, nice.
You're right, we don't want to see any increase.
Yeah.
Like, the only reference I could find, and I brought this up, I think last year, was this tie and bond survey done in 2019. And it shows then the average sewer use fee in Connecticut, $520. And that was 5 years ago before inflation, even no matter what Harrington's paying.
Have a motion.
But I don't know what Harrington's paying. We're still below that.
All right.
Not that I want to go up at all,
Right.
just to put it in perspective.
Yeah, and this one is a roll call vote, by the way. Any call for final questions?
No more.
Then I'm going to do the roll call vote, and I'll start on the screen with Councilman Cavanero. I think you're muted.
Here we go. Yes.
Thank you, Councilman Waldron,
Yes.
Councilman Iveyne,
Yes.
Councilwoman Spino,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Ruette.
Yes.
Okay, good. So then we'll pull together some answers for the budget to be revisited. And by then, hopefully, a little more information on the status of the IMA to answer the councilman or WPCA's questions. Thank you. All right. Item 2, I will entertain a motion to open the meeting to the public in accordance with Section 4, subsection E of the City Council. And thank you, Councilman Waldron, and second by Councilwoman Spino. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There are members of the public here. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address the board? Seeing and hearing none. I'll move into item 3. I'll entertain a motion to accept the public hearing meeting minutes from May 6, 2024.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman Spino,
Second.
and second by Councilman Iveyne. Questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 3B, I'll entertain a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from May 6, 2024.
So moved.
Thank you. I hear Councilwoman Spino, seconded by Councilman Waldron. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I should have asked if there were any questions. Were there any questions on those minutes? All right, item 4. I will entertain a motion. This is for reappointments to our Inland Wetlands Commission. I'll entertain a motion to appoint the following regular members to Inland Wetlands Commission, which will align with the recently passed revision of the Code of Ordinance, Section 33-4. I have Jay Bate for an initial 5-year term expiring on May 20th, 2029. Christine Altman, an initial 4-year term expiring May 20th, 2028. Joe Paganini, initial 3-year term expiring May 20th, 2027. Randall Stelma, a 2-year term expiring May 20th, 2026. And Adrian Barbie with a term that expires May 20th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman Ruette,
Second.
and second by Councilwoman Spino. Questions or comments on these appointments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item B, 4B, I'll entertain a motion to reappoint the following alternate member of the Inland Wetlands Commission to align with the recently passed revision of codes of ordinance 33-4. This would be Stephen Thompson for an initial 3-year term, which will expire May 20th, 2027.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman Spino.
Second.
Second by Councilman Iveyne. Questions on this one? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I had a request from our Public Works Director to table item 5. This item is for a contract renewal. We have a contract with Still River Gardens with, I think there were a number of 1-year extensions. However, there were 5 1-year extensions. Thank you. Yeah. However, we haven't received their letter of intent to request the extension yet. I think we were a little premature jumping on this one. So do I have a motion to table?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman Ruette, second by Councilwoman Spino. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll hopefully have something to put before the council at the next meeting. All right, item number 6A, I will entertain a motion to approve the revised May 2024 version of the management resolution document as further explained in the memo of our Human Resources Director dated May 16, 2024.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman Ruette.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Spino. Are there questions or comments on the letter or the recommendation? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 6B, I'll entertain a motion to approve the average annual cost of funding of the management resolution related increases totaling $91,000 for non-elected officials for FY 24-25 and 25-26 fiscal years.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman Ruette, seconded by Councilwoman Spino. Are there questions or comments on this? I think the only comment I would add is reminding everyone that these are the non-elected officials. Elected officials has a different approval process, which is usually tied to the election cycle.
Yeah, just a quick question.
Mhm.
So there's a few grids in here with TBD in as like a placeholder.
Mhm. For elected officials?
Well, I see it's for the different stipends in here. Is there any reason why we don't have those numbers filled out in that case?
So are you looking at page 12? Is that where
Yes.
you are? Okay, yes. All right, so as I'd indicated, the elected positions, the city clerk, the mayor, the treasurer, those are stipends. Registrar, those are all wage increases that are tied to a constitutional practice voted on before an election. It's usually within a certain period before the election.
Make it a little bit more painful right before
Yeah.
the election, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Precisely. Yeah. And I know that the HR director is questioned if that's a strict interpretation of the Constitution. Does it apply just to state elected officials or does it apply to the local? It has always been our practice to only bring those recommendations for wages to the position right before that election. It's usually within 90
Okay.
days before.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions?
Is the sealer of weights and measures included in that?
No, she isn't. That's an appointed position. And that was during the pandemic, it was a position that the state agreed that it was okay to not proceed with the actual sealing of all of those weights and measures. And we only brought that back last year. It's certainly something that we can negotiate separate and apart from this full management resolution here.
Okay, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. And just for your information, in this case, the sealer of weights and measures and all these stipends and wages go to a position, not an individual. But in this particular case, this position is filled by our blight enforcement officer. So any opportunity we have to look at what that stipend is in context to what her wage as part of a union would be is an easy alignment, I think, that we can make.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So moving into item 7, I will entertain a motion to extend the current United Public Service Employees Union, that's UPSU, Local 424, Unit 78. These are our city supervisory employees. Collective bargaining agreement for 2 years to cover the period beginning July 1, 24 through June 30th, 26, as further explained in the memo of Human Resource Director dated May 16th, 2024.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman Ruette, second by Councilwoman Spino. Questions or comments on this
Just
extension?
Thanking the cooperative efforts on our HR department, Denise, who's here, and, the good work that she's doing with our union leaders. Do you call them leaders? Or
Mhm.
Is there a deputy planner not included in this list?
I'm sorry, the question?
In the grids of that we see, the schedule, we have a city planner, but do we not have a assistant planner, or is it deputy planner?
So this is the supervisors union. The deputy planner or assistant or zoning enforcement officer is Nate Nardi Cyrus. Cyrus
Yes.
Nardi, yeah. He falls into a separate union.
Okay, I just see a deputy, public works director, things like that on this.
He is, yeah, he's a supervisor,
Okay.
but in the planning world, that other position is in a
Okay, so
different
he
unit.
just falls under a different contract.
Correct, yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions? Then I'll call this motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 7B, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2-year average annual cost of funding UPSU-related increases at $79,000.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman Ruette. Second by Councilwoman Spino. Any questions on this? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, on the recommendation of the Services for the Elderly Commission, vote to waive the bid process to purchase a Meals on Wheels vehicle for sole vendor Delivery Concepts East Inc. of Elkhart, Indiana for $67,100, plus an additional $500 to $1,000 for graphic labeling. These funds have been allocated in advance to fully cover the purchase as explained in our nutrition supervisor's letter dated May 20th, 2024.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman Ruette.
Second.
Second by Councilman Iveyne. Are there any questions? I see Christine Trudeau Brown is actually on the call. If there are questions for her.
Yeah, just how old is our current vehicle? Are we replacing a vehicle in this? Or are we adding a vehicle?
Hi, we would be auctioning off a vehicle. The oldest one we have right now is a 2017 Chevy Chevy Colorado that we would be auctioning off at public auction.
And is this the most cost-effective means of replacement? Like, could we, reuse the refrigerator unit on the unit that's being replaced?
Unfortunately, no. It's a different chassis. They don't make the chassis anymore that would accommodate the boxes from the Chevy Colorado. So that's why we switched to the Ford F-150. That's the only chassis right now that would accommodate the boxes from Delivery Concepts East.
Okay. And it from your experience, is that the normal lifespan of a vehicle?
From my experience, yes. Yeah. We've taken very good care of our fleet, and I think it's actually, prolonged. It depends on which route we have them on, but our rural routes, they do over 120 miles a day.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I know that some of you have to leave very shortly. I'm wondering if we could just get through these next few these next few agenda items quickly, or would the council members prefer that we adjourn? I don't know if adjourn is the right word. Yeah, I think recess. If we could recess for the purposes of doing the executive session now and then convene right after the executive session. How does the council feel about this?
I'm in favor.
Yes.
All right, so the motion is to move item 21 up to the next agenda item. And I have a second. Councilwoman Ruette, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then I'm going to call this. I will entertain a motion to go into executive session pursuant to CGS Section 1-206B to discuss potential litigation. Thank you. Invited into that executive session would be the city comptroller and city attorney. Motion made by Councilwoman Spino. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Iveyne. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And for the record, it's 7:59 PM.
Point of order, Mayor.
I'll call you in. Is that okay if I call you into or Mr. Iveyne can call you in?
All right, yes. I'm not sure I'm gonna come out of the meeting. I'm pretty done for the night.
I know, it's 8 o'clock. I hear you.
No, just my allergies are getting the better of me. So yeah, if you could call in, I will definitely like to hear what you have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go with the flow. Okay, so for the record, it is now 8:46 PM, and I need a vote to come back into open session.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Waldron, second by Councilman Iveyne. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are back in open session. We'll jump right into the agenda where we left off. Item number 9. Do we still have a quorum? Yes, we do. All right, I'll entertain a motion by the city council to refer to the Planning and Zoning Commission for an 824 review of a proposed lease of City of Torrington property located at Cook Street, map black, lot number 116-020-008, as further explained in the Public Works Director's memo dated May 13th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Councilwoman Spino, second by Councilman Iveyne. Are there questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
this is a lease.
Yes.
We own it.
Yes.
So who's leasing it?
We would be leasing it to the PAC group.
Okay, right. Okay.
And
thought-
Ray has been working on all of this, so he could do the Cliff Notes version of what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, so the parcel is a vacant piece of land that the city purchased in 1984 for around $20,000. The original, it really just kind of sat vacant. It's adjacent to the back entrance to the old BOA building, the Bank of America building. You have boards on your mind.
I know.
So it's just been vacant. We do have a rear access gate to co-park there for vehicles to get on the lawns. And so we've looked at it, been vacant. In 2001, as part of the co-park master plan, it was kind of designed to be a parking lot for additional parking for co-park and a second rear entrance, walk-in entrance. That was in 2001. Fast forward, basically sat vacant, no uses. Over the last probably 18 months, we've looked at it for a couple different recreational activities, bocce courts, and as well as pickleball courts. But because of the property is about 55 feet wide by 187 feet long. And we don't own the adjacent property. So parking was an issue. So we were approached with the idea that would the city be interested in potentially leasing the property for a parking lot, with the intent that the leasee would develop the parking lot, maintain the parking lot, and we would have some type of agreement that it would be a public parking lot as well as a parking lot for their staffs and tenants and employees. So because it's city property, the first step in that process is for the city council to refer it to planning and zoning for a review. And then they have two options, an unfavorable review or a favorable review. Then it would come back to this board, city council, for a vote to authorize the mayor to negotiate and enter into a lease agreement with 126 South Main Street LLC.
So just to demonstrate, in your package, and as part of the memo prepared by Mr. Drew, was a rendering of what that parking lot would look like. So half of that proposed parking lot is property already owned by 126 South Main
126
Street
South Main Street
LLC.
LLC virtually owns that entire corner of Cook and South Main, with the exception of one house there. And then, as you can see from their rendering, they are looking at potential development of the parking lot across South Main Street, which is adjacent to the Armory, which is, the Armory's, the recreational staff are allowed to park there with the permission from 126 South Main Street LLC. You know, with the installation of the pickleball courts at Fustage Park, we lost parking where the old tennis courts were. So this is kind of we feel it's a good public-private partnership where their parking issues get resolved, our parking issues can get resolved, and we can have a joint partnership.
At their expense.
At their-
They will be the ones to install the parking lot, maintain the parking lot. We talked about making sure it was lighted. It's a fairly dark area in that, back there. They've made it clear that even if we do not agree to lease them the 55-foot by 180-foot parcel that the city owns, they will still develop their parcel for parking, but it will be strictly private parking. So we will miss an opportunity to partner on development of parking where we need it, and access all of that parking. Obviously, their business hours being, 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 certainly wouldn't conflict with the evening and weekend uses that the city would have at Cole Park.
Yeah, and if we were to develop that as a parking lot on our own,
Yes,
I mean, the best we could probably get out of that is about 20 spaces.
right.
So a joint partnership has a potential for 56 spaces.
Hey, Ray, for access to the back of the Cole Park building, going through that gate, is there enough space based on this design to navigate a bigger truck through that gate?
What? A beer truck? A big.
Sorry, we're all punching.
Wait. Yes, we do not allow large trucks that are not city contractors or city vehicles.
Okay, just that in our.
It is. It's I think that
Cleanups.
gate is 14 feet.
Okay. Yeah, just so we had put the dumpster, for some Earth
Yep.
Day cleanups. Wonder if we had space.
Oh, yeah, it would still have space. So as you can see, that gate is kind of at an angle. And we would make sure that we could get, that type of vehicle in there to put the dumpster in there.
Yeah.
Or the dumpster would be in the parking
In the
lot.
parking lot. I was just going to say that.
And
No
not
need to
on
get
the
on the lawn at.
Yeah,
Cole
not
Park.
on the
Put it in
lawns.
the parking lot.
And some of these spaces were a former church and a graveyard.
What's that?
These spaces formerly there was a church on there not too
What
long
was it?
ago and a graveyard.
Okay, I was before my time.
So, yeah, so as long as you're comfortable with poltergeists
And
and.
then, yeah, so, if it's an
Another reason to let a developer do
Yeah,
that and not
let-
us.
So
Well, the cemetery was where
Yeah.
the Bank of America building
It-
was, the church too.
the gravestones were moved to two different cemetery areas.
Did they move the remains?
Exhumed
That was more
and
expensive,
exercised.
tight times.
Yeah, I mean, typical parking lot, there's not deep excavation, so,
Okay,
they will still rest in peace
I think the only
albeit
thing that I would add to
with
this,
an asphalt top.
yeah, I think the only thing that I would add to this is the reason that this developer is looking for increased parking is, as you heard Ray mention, with the parking lot across the street and across the street from the Armory, they're looking at a small development project there. So when we talk about grand list growth, this is an opportunity. There will be some development of that parking lot with a building and a tenant. And the former Bank of America building will also, they've entered into a lease agreement for that property as well. So we're seeing an increase in business activity or office activity, which is further enhancing the need for that parking.
Yeah, and just another caveat with the Bank of America building, that parking lot is behind the building, which will be redone by the group, is restricted to the new tenant, which is Go Health.
And final comment, as you heard Ray say, in 1984, the property was acquired. In 2001, there was actually a concept plan for parking and walkways that would connect that Cook Street lot to the Civic Center. I believe in 2001 is when the renovation of Co Park was taking place.
That was the
RJB
original
was the,
master plan,
yes. So that was part of the master plan, and I think it got value engineered out and has been sitting on the sidelines ever since.
Okay. Now, was there some confusion with the Co-Park committee on that space at all?
The ownership of it, yes.
Because I think someone had brought it to their committee about the pickleball courts and.
Yes,
um,
Rachi.
Yeah, I think that's harking back to the original 2001 master plan where that was going to be incorporated into the master plan for for Co-Park.
Okay.
But never was. So it is a separate parcel than the park. It is not, it's obviously adjacent to the park, but it is a completely separate parcel.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Okay. If there are no other questions, then I'm going to call the motion made by Councilwoman Spino and Iveyne. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're going to leapfrog down to 14. I'll entertain a motion to accept the building department report for
So
the month of
moved.
April. Thank you, Councilwoman
Second.
Waldron, second by Councilwoman Spino. All in, questions or comments on the report? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 15, I'll entertain a motion to release the liens listed in Corporation Council's
moved.
memo. Thank you, Councilman Waldron.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Spino. Questions or comments on the memo? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 16, I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation of the tax collector and authorize tax refunds indicated in the list. Thank you, Councilman
Second.
Waldron. Second by Councilwoman Spino. Questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 17, I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation of the tax collector authorizes sewer use refunds
So
indicated.
moved.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Waldron, second by Spino. Questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 18, I'll entertain a motion to consider business by department heads.
Second.
Thank you, Councilwoman Spino, second by Councilman Waldron. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And Mr. Drew stands alone. Anything this evening? Anything more this evening?
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. City Clerk's Office, Corporation Council.
Nothing there.
Thank you. Mr. Monks.
Nothing there.
All right, item 19, I'll entertain a motion to consider business by mayor and members. Thank you, Councilman
So moved.
Spino, second by Councilman Waldron. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, anything this evening, Mr. Waldron?
No, not this evening.
Me?
Waldron, yeah.
Oh, yeah, two things. One, when's our meeting next week, is it?
It
With The
is,
Board of Finance?
yes.
Is it
Joint meeting and public hearing, yes.
Tuesday?
Yes.
And what time is that?
Is it like,
Okay, somehow I missed it, so that's why. And then the parade.
the
We're-
parade,
We're
Monday?
all marching together, as usual.
30? Yes.
What time? 9 o'clock? 15?
9:15, and the last 2 or 3 years, we meet in front of the 99 restaurant.
Okay,
Any special outfits? like that?
Yes.
come on, sir.
Eh, good walking shoes, and red, white, and blue. Thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, Mr. Ravine.
No, nothing tonight.
Thank you. Councilwoman Spino.
Nothing.
And to the call, if Councilman Cavanero has anything this evening? Probably sneezing with those allergies.
Do we lose them?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I am going to
He's
assume
still
that means
on the
nothing.
Screen, but
Still on mute.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 20. I'll entertain a motion to open the meeting to the public for comment on agenda items
moved.
only. Thank you. I'm sorry, that sounded like Waldron or Councilman Waldron and Spino. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No public to comment. We'll move into item 22. There being no further business before the board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Councilwoman Spino, second by Councilman Iveyne. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.